अल्फ अल्लाह चंबे दी बूटी ते मेरे मुर्शिद मन विच लाई हूँ ओ नफियस बात दा पानी दे के हर रगे हर जाई हूँ ओ जुग जुग जीवे
The None of the Above podcast with Andrew and Azim.
What up, guys? We haven't been back in a while. We've been kind of busy, but we have a good story today. As you guys probably know, hopefully you guys know, but last Friday was Eid, the Islamic festivities for celebrating the fasting. And I brought Andrew along to celebrate Eid, and he's like an outsider, so it was really cool seeing his reaction. So, Andrew, what did you do from the moment you woke up until you arrived in my house?
Alright, so I guess we'll start from the beginning. Yes, talking about, didn't really know what to expect. The night before, I did look up, obviously, it was on Wikipedia, so it's not the most reliable source, but it's still something. Looked up about Eid and just get a gist of it. I looked at what the Americans did, their version of Eid, because every single turkey, they gave Turkish delights to all the kids and little things like that for Eid, and just every country looked at all of them. But I really focused on the America because that's where we are, so it makes sense. And just kind of looked at that stuff, and I wouldn't say I was a little nervous, but I did have a little. It was a mix
between. Were you
between
anxious?
Anxious, but in more of a mostly good way. It was mixed feelings, but it was
you're just looking forward to the unknown.
Yeah, looking forward to the unknown.
Getting ready to explore into a foreign man's land.
Try to be very optimistic about it.
Yeah.
But I stayed up probably later than I normally would have, just because of the different thoughts running through my mind. I would
what am I getting myself into?
Being
around all these brown
people.
Ugh,
yeah.
So how do you feel about the attire that we were wearing?
Alright, so when I was getting dressed that morning, which by the way, since I was staying up late, for some reason my alarm didn't go off, so I woke up 30 minutes before I was supposed to be at Azim's house there. And I was
it was 7 in the morning, so I'm still surprised he even woke up.
Yeah, so I woke up and then got dressed real quick, fixed my hair, did all that good stuff, and of course I did somewhat, it was business formal attire or business casual, I guess, attire. The tie, dress shirt, vest.
I felt it real, just church going clothes.
Yeah, the quote unquote Sunday's best, as they say.
Yeah.
But it's Friday's best.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, so.
But were you what were you expecting, for the people to wear? What was your initial thoughts? Do you think it was?
I mean, I thought that there's gonna be people dressed kind of how I was, and then I knew that some people were gonna do their cultural roots.
Yeah.
And I assume there's gonna be people in various versions of robes.
Yeah.
I did not, however, expect how the women wore very, very bright colors and it looked awesome.
Yeah.
Light blues, pinks, greens, very bright, vibrant colors, and I thought that was really neat. And I'm gonna say neat so many times because that's what I was saying. I was like, oh, that's
true.
Neat.
It was.
That's neat. It seems what are you doing?
Yeah. That's pretty much what he was doing. He was huh, neat.
The whole time. So that part was neat.
So, do you have any breakfast when you woke up?
No, because I was an idiot.
Yeah.
Because reasons of waking up late, I was
I don't think anyone had breakfast that morning. So
you're
good.
I was gonna power through, make sure I look presentable, and didn't want to be, dressed
Yeah.
not appropriately, and then because I mean, some people could take that as kind of a sign of disrespect, like you come here and you're not like.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I don't think everyone will be that way, but some people would be like, you're not. That's not cool.
Yeah.
That's not cool, man. Type attitude.
So, what were some like prerequisites? What were some things you had to prepare for before actually attending the religious ceremony?
Okay, so you guys, when I say you guys, I mean like Azim and his family, brother, mother, and father, all helped me out there, and saying like, of course, like after the prayers and all that stuff is done, you can say, Eid Mubarak, but beforehand, you say, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
And I still don't know why, but I was like, okay.
I mean, it's just the greeting. It's like going
like,
up and saying hi to someone. You're just like, Salam alaikum,
Yeah. So, cool. I learned how to pronounce that stuff correctly, because, of course, I was being a stereotypical white person and just butchering anything. Just, salam walakum.
Slam lackum?
Sam lackum.
Sam lackum. Ha.
No, okay, sorry.
Alright. How do you feel when we were really quickly going over the whole praying?
Oh yeah, the praying. Well, obviously, in Christian prayer,
it's not as much as a workout.
It's not as much as a workout. That's a really a good way of putting it. I mean, typically, and that's another thing with a lot of Christianity, is you bow your head, close your eyes.
Yeah, that's boring.
And that's like pretty much all you do. Some people do the two hands clasped together straight. Yeah. They'll do that. Some people will like do something with their hands, interlock their fingers, or like maybe put fists together or something like that, or do something not that. That's stupid. But do something along those lines. But you don't like get down on your knees and like place your forehead upon the ground, like in a bowing way, like bowing to the higher power and that stuff. Like I get it, but that's just kind of not. It's not a Christian thing. It's not like any like even like Catholicism, which is like one of the most strict like
real
brands
traditional
of Christianity.
Kind of
they still don't do that. They just do the like hands together and down, and sometimes like rest your forehead on your hands type thing. But they're not on the ground doing stuff. And then they do have some, like Christianity, they do have like some like actual recited prayer that you do. Like thy kingdom come, thy will be done, etc., etc. And they have that stuff, but it's not like several paragraphs, phrases. I don't know what to call it, but what do you call them?
When they're they're preaching the surahs, which is
the surahs,
the verses from the Quran.
Verses,
not verses, entire chapters, really.
Okay, but like that stuff, they don't do that in the Christianity. So learning about that and like learning how to, like the correct gestures to use at certain times, like what do you call
when you're standing and you're putting your right hand over your left?
Yeah,
and you're kind of just
and then hands like vertical or vertical. And then back.
Like bend over.
Yeah.
Stand back up. And when after you're done bending over and you get back up, it's really just to kind of like make yourself look good.
Yeah.
Or so you're not uncomfortable.
And then another thing is like
claps down.
I did make sure to get right is the whole like you always like during all the prayer you always keep your eyes like down, like kind of like you're looking at someone's feet, like not like looking up or looking. And that's a big similarity like with both religions. Is they want your head like down. Is they want it more down. I mean, there's some like random branches of Christianity that they actually look up, but that's
looking up's kind of weird. It strains the neck and it's not uncomfortable. Then I find when you're it's not calming, and when you're looking more down, I feel like it's more just calming.
It's more of a natural pose.
Yeah, it really is.
So there's that.
You also keep more focus.
That is true. A lot
more focus bring it out. But yeah, anyways.
So all that good stuff. So there's a lot, and this is like I was taking in all this information before I even got to the convention center because
we didn't do it at a mosque because
Yeah.
our mosque is real small. We went to like a Cox convention center.
Yeah.
And, did it there,
and
so that was cool. So because everyone else was obviously looking somewhat different, did you feel alienated at all?
the thing is, I probably would, but we saw a really good friend, which we will bring on the podcast, Ali. Like, he was wearing, like, a more traditional, what would you call it? Like,
I have no idea what he was wearing.
An article of clothing.
It was, it's like, you call it, like, camise, and, you know, there's other stuff. I'm not really sure. His pants apparently were his Taekwondo pants. So that's why I was really confused until he told me that, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, pretty much it's obviously that more silky stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
much more thin, better.
That's what would actually made me more comfortable, is seeing like a familiar face.
Familiar people, yeah.
And like he's a cool dude. Like, I really like him, and he's a good friend. Cool dude. And like seeing like one of your friends like that wearing that, and then you see other people wearing it, then you're kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're accepted.
Yeah, it's more
because I was wearing a suit.
Yeah.
So,
being swaggy.
Yeah. Because all of my stuff is too small on me, so the traditional attire, it's I'm not really too much of a fan of it until I wear it, because it actually feels really good. It's silky and it's smooth and it's thin and you can move around more. And this disgusting shirt is just like, it's heavy. But anyways, yeah. So that's cool. How do you feel during the praying?
I kind of had like some mixed emotions. First of all, like, my upfront thoughts is like, I take it from the perspective that like I'm learning. I'm open-minded. I am trying to understand this religion, this culture,
the ethnic diversity.
Try to get that stuff, and then of course most people are praying the exact same, but like certain little things, like there's like a part in the thing where like you could pray like on your own, I believe. I think that's what that was.
Are you talking about when you were like sitting?
No, like, you were sitting. You're sitting, but you're like down. And I think it was still prayer. I'm not entirely sure.
It was still a part.
But like, I saw a lot of people after they finished the finger thing.
They're lifting the finger.
Lift the finger thing.
You actually, there's you are. There's actually some parts where you're supposed to be internally praying certain verses, and obviously people go in different paces. But when you lift your finger, that's like, it indicates what part you're on. Yeah. So, obviously you wouldn't know that. We wouldn't want to like force you to memorize something real quick.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to.
Because I was already getting like, I was learning certain part like of Arabic.
You already learned a lot just by going there, and there's no way you could learn the entire praying ceremony in one hour.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I mean, you know, I thought it was still like neat, and I say it again. But another thing is, there was an element of, kind of sounds weird to say this, but of equality. Now, when I say that, is like, you know, it's the same. It's technically, you know, the same Abrahamic, Ishmael, all those, like, same dude. It's just like different interpretations, really.
Yeah.
So like, you're still like praying to the same dude. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's blasphemous in that respect.
Yeah.
On like a technical level, like, of course, like some preacher would be like, you know, what the heck, man? Like freak out. But it just does show that, like, if I chose like not to bow down and stuff like that, then it kind of sends a message that like I refuse to join you, but that's like not the point, you know, like I'm on the ground with everyone else.
Yeah.
We're all equals, we're all brothers in humanity and everything. Like, we're all cool with each other. It's all one.
Sense of community.
And it is that sense of community. Like, in that, I guess in some ways in that moment I was like a social Muslim in that way. Like, obviously I I don't practice Islam,
Yeah.
but for that,
You're more accepted and
Yeah.
able to socialize.
yeah. So like I was Muslim in a different sense, like a
Yeah.
cultural sense,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So, I think everyone on like down together, like that. It just kind of has more of a powerful message in that respect, and in that.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever hang around with the Islamic community, you would notice everybody calls each other brother or sister.
Yeah.
So.
And like I was next to an elderly, like, I don't know what his, he had the turban and the robes and stuff like that. I don't know what origin he had. If it was like Afghani or what.
I have no idea.
But like I had no clue like who he was, but like at the very end he like he like hugs me and like with the ceremony with the left, right, left and all that good stuff. But like like I was
like he had known you.
Yeah,
like
that's what I mean. Like,
accepted.
Accepting of me being there and all that good stuff. So it had a lot to do with me accepting them accepting me, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. And I think if more people were like that and more people did that kind of stuff, then we probably wouldn't have as many issues as we do today.
Yeah.
Just being like accepting in general. So.
Right. So.
I mean, I guess if we want to move on to something else, or.
Yeah. I mean.
So we talked about attire and then the praying process, feelings. We can go into the hugs again.
Yeah.
Just kind of talking about brotherhood.
How do you feel about, saying Eid Mubarak to all those
all the random people.
Yeah.
And people that I kind of knew.
Yeah.
And people that you knew, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So it was like a mutual acquaintance, if that is a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is. It's a thing.
But, and I would say, like, Eid Mubarak, but they would really, like, feel it more. Like, it does seem more sincere. Like, I'm saying it, but they're not. It's kind of like a Muslim coming up to me and saying, like, Merry Christmas, but, like, mean it,
Yeah.
Then, like, you're like, hey, thanks, man. Like, that makes you feel good. And I could tell, like, hey, they felt good about it. And they were like, wow, that's really neat.
Yeah.
So there's that going on. I know one, like, hardcore, like, he had, like, a full beard, full turban. He was,
that dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool guy.
He was the most, I'm gonna say it, like, the most, like, stereotypically Muslim dude.
He was the most but that's the day you can be a stereotypical Muslim.
Like, yeah, I didn't have a problem with it.
This dude had, like, a big beard and like some kind of turban.
Yeah. And
it was cool.
And the light robe and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, but he came up to me
and just
hugged me.
Big old bear hug.
And it was, the head over left and then right and left and all that handshake and everything.
Yeah.
But he, like, came up to me. I didn't even
have to look at him.
Yeah, he came up to me. I didn't go up to him in the same way that, like, that he's not being judgmental of me being obviously the only white person there. I was. There was some, like, lighter, like, especially, like,
lighter
Lebanese
people,
but I was the only, like, of European descent white kid there. And but they were very accepting of it. I mean, I'm sure that some people were like, what? But you're gonna get that everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. There's gonna be some people that are just like, what the heck is he doing here? You're gonna get that everywhere. So that's not offensive to me. I'm just like, well, the people are people. That's common everywhere.
Yeah.
So when we talked about like the social and like practicing and for Islam, because like in that moment is more of a social thing. Yeah. Obviously, the worship and practice was involved, but I can say that you can kind of be like a social Muslim in that way without being a full out like devout practicing Muslim,
Yeah.
which I thought that was kind of an interesting mix because I mean a lot of people are scared of that kind of stuff.
What kind of stuff exactly?
Well, like joining, like going to a mosque. Obviously, I didn't go to a mosque, but like I would have if they had it there. And being with the community, worship, all that good stuff, like being with them. A lot of people, I think, would be scared of doing that, just because they fear the unknown. And obviously, there are stereotypes. We kind of do live in a time in America where certain pockets, where we are especially, Islam is misconstrued with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and that really is a bummer. Well, that's an understatement, of course, but that's
really
a huge
bummer.
It's a bummer. No, that's a huge understatement, but you know what I mean. It's sad to say, but people do associate like ISIS and like the radicals. Like I'm sure that some people associate Christians with like the Westboro Baptist Church, and stuff like that. I don't think Christians have it as bad, well, especially in America because we're like a majority. But in other countries and other subcultures, if you will, like they probably have like some dirty thoughts towards Christians, more than likely. So
I don't think people really have dirty thoughts about Christians. It's more like the countries.
The country, yeah.
Because the most hate you can find in a lot of Islamic countries isn't the fact that they're Christian countries. It's mostly that they're secular countries and they're not run by a theocracy. So you ever go to like the Middle East or something, and if you say you're a Christian, it's like but go over there and say you're a
atheist.
You're kind of screwed more. And it's same thing here too. People.
They judge atheists really hard here.
Yeah.
Because they associate atheists with Satanists.
Yeah.
Which, okay, if you don't believe in any of it, that does not make sense. Like, I'm just thinking from a logical standpoint here.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in a higher power, God, Satan, any of that, angels, demons, anything, they don't believe in any supernatural, they only believe in science and what they can actually see, I guess, or study or that kind of stuff, science. Then they wouldn't worship Satan. That doesn't make sense. Why would they?
I mean, the problem is...
But that's a misconception.
The problem is mostly just, it's the media. Because a lot of people here in the South don't have access to different people. And they just rely on their one source of media. Which is utterly depressing. Because then they get all of their information from someone with an agenda.
Yeah. And then they have the echo chamber of... Because a lot of places, not just the South, but we're using South as an example because that's where we are and that's what we know.
Yeah.
But we have this, they'll go to, say, like Fox News or wherever, and they'll just listen to that, and that's where they get all their information.
And they talk to their buddies about it,
and then
they get it from the same exact source.
And so
there's no
they're just
argument.
Reinforcing it, and it's what they call an echo chamber.
There's no individual thought.
Yeah.
It's very collective. It sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, there's like feminist echo chambers. There's I mean,
that's just the problem.
Echo chambers.
Putting yourself in a bubble.
I was just saying like it doesn't matter if you're conservative, liberal, moderate, whatever. There's echo chamber.
Everywhere.
Marvel, DC.
Marvel, DC. You've only been exposed to one comic.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what other things are on your mind, or maybe on my mind?
I don't know. What do you think? Now, of course, like me being an outsider, what do you think have you learned, if anything, by me being with you guys?
I learned a lot. I learned quite a bit about how an outsider would look at, Islam and point out some kind of things. Like, I never really took the praying ceremony to involve chanting or singing.
Oh, yeah.
I never looked at it that way until Andrew's like, nah, it's like singing. You can really tell by like the vocals and stuff. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah, I thought that part was pretty neat.
And I'm like, they are singing. And then, I kind of look back and, I think like the times when I've been to a church and they'll sing some Christian songs. And I'm like, huh. So, like, a lot of religion is just revolves around music.
Yeah.
And I guess music does bring out a very spiritual side of people.
Yeah.
It puts you in a trance, too.
Christian teaching, they do say singing is like praying 10 times or something like that. Like, if you're singing, like a Christian song or something, it's like praying 10 times in that way. Like worship.
It's something really unique about humans, though. In general, it's just the fact that we get so moved by certain sounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. But anyways, another thing though I have to comment on is Eid is completely different, obviously, in America than it is in almost every other nation out there, especially when you're in the South, because we don't have any sort of sanctions or whatnot that really help us get out of work and stuff. So over here, and where we live, on Eid, it's not like Eid anywhere else where it's like everybody gets their like days off and they're able to go and like enjoy spending time with, you know, their families and friends. They have to go back to work and stuff. And a lot of American Muslims over here have become accustomed to it. So it's not like Eid is what used to be a very spiritual time. It's become very hustle and bustle. You know, it's starting
more of a contemporary.
late, it's ending early, and it sucks. It's not.
Yeah, that is one thing. Is we did start late.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we have responsibility to people, and we have to end on time. So they did leave out a few verses, or what do you call them again? The
surahs.
Surahs.
Yeah.
They left out a few apparently, and
they didn't do the long ones. They did the short ones.
Just so
people could get out early.
Which, I mean, you know, that's kind of
They also shortened the actual like preaching.
Yeah. So I mean, I got honestly, I got kind of a clipped version of what it really is. But then again, if you go to like Pakistan, there the custom is no one talks unless it's about Allah or Muhammad.
Yeah,
or
that kind of sucks.
You're not allowed to talk at all there, is what I've read. Obviously, I haven't been there, so I don't know. But that's from the research I've done on Wikipedia. Which
I could totally imagine that being true.
Like, there's no talking. You're only allowed to talk if it involves like praise or like focused on the higher powers and the prophets, and that kind of stuff. And then they also had mandatory charity there, which
that kind of defeats the purpose. But yeah, that's the thing. Mandatory charity is a thing because you're supposed to be very charitable on that day.
Yeah, and I mean, I know part of it was what was interesting is like Azim's dad is like, yeah, for Eid, I'll get you one of the coffee thing. We went out afterwards.
Yeah, that's right.
Because like I was about to pay for it, of course, but he's like, no, I insist. It's part of it's Eid, and he was kind of being
young man doesn't spend money.
Being charitable.
We take the money from our elders.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and just like certain aspects of that, a lot of Christian stuff, like you're not required to give. I mean, obviously here in America, you're not required to.
Individual liberties.
Yeah,
that's why America's awesome.
That
better
is
than
true.
Every other country in the world. Just saying.
But they do, America.
Okay.
Anyways, but I do think that requiring it in some of the theocracy countries in the Middle East, like requiring it, that does kind of defeat the purpose of it.
Yeah, completely.
Because it's like you have to be charitable. Well,
it's not really a charity then. It's more like a tax.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's kind of like, I'm more of a fan of charity than I am of taxing.
Yeah.
It's because libertarianism, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in an ideal world, then like people would just give to charity and like donate to stuff, and they wouldn't have to worry about taxes. But that's way too idealistic to be feasible. But
all right. So.
Yeah. Anyways.
So overall, how was your experience?
Well, it was neat.
Yes.
Well, I learned a lot. A lot of it was me just kind of being open-minded and just learning about the culture, like I said before. Just staying open-minded and just being accepting, and then in return, I was accepted there too. So I think that's the bigger meaning in all of it is like at the end of the day, we're all not that different. We're different in the fact of having like different customs, cultures, but in the big scheme of things,
we're all pretty much exactly the same. So.
We're not that different. You know, we can all get along, and
if we
Eid gets the general white man seal of approval.
Awesome.
Well, that I have. Not every dude, but there you go.
I mean, you're really, Caucasian, so...
Yeah,
I feel like your seal of approval would...
Yeah, it
would...
It's legit. It's legit.
So, if you ever want to celebrate Eid, you can do it.
Yeah.
I'd do it for the food.
Yeah, there was food, and food is delicious.
Yeah.
So we went to Ollie's house, and...
True. Yeah, that was
they had like a fresh garden and everything.
Yeah, that was true.
Which was great. Food was great.
It was a long day.
It was a very long day, and then I had to go to work after, so wow.
I mean, could you imagine that, though, at, like, Eid, at an actual, like, Islamic country?
Yeah, more so than not. I mean, obviously I'm not going to know exactly what it would be like, but I know they take that stuff way more seriously.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously saying that kind of makes it sound like they don't, but you know.
Would it rival Christmas?
No.
No.
It doesn't rival Christmas in the way that... Now, let's say Eid was mainstream.
Yeah, that's what.
From that perspective, yes and no, but mostly no. Just because Christmas is more of a secular holiday now.
Yeah.
So it's hard to compare it now. Okay, the old Christmas where it was like you went to church, you prayed, you did all that good stuff, and then you shared gifts and your fortune with your family. It was about family mostly and your close friends and appreciation. And you did this appreciation and gave gifts to celebrate, Lord and Savior coming down.
Yeah.
That, celebrate like, all right, he's here. That's awesome. Let's celebrate and be nice to each other and give stuff. Same thing with the child charity. Be nice to each other. Give out candy to the kids. All that. So we give gifts to the kids. Or what now? No, I'm just kidding. But obviously, it's more secular here in America. Honestly, everywhere it's more secular. Christmas is, I think. Maybe.
What is the most religious Christmas holiday? Or, I mean, Christian holiday? Is there a religious Christian holiday?
That's really hard because most of the Christian holidays have been mainstream modified or whatever. Because, like, I don't know how the heck Jesus rising from the grave became about chocolate, eggs, and bunnies. Like, what? Like, eggs, life, sure, but what?
No.
Like, I don't know. It's such a stretch. Like, I don't know what that... Because you can say Easter.
Okay.
I mean, Halloween was, like, partly, like, banning
What about Lent?
But,
isn't that, like, a thing?
Well, that's Catholic. And Catholic is... Catholic, I don't know how to whatever verbiage, whatever that is. Like they do Lent, which is the closest thing to Ramadan.
Yeah,
but not really. Like fast.
I'm sure it used to be.
Oh, I'm sure. Like I think they
Ramadan
fast.
Equivalent.
They probably used to fast, but what they do now is they'll say, "I'm giving up coffee for Lent because it's something you really like."
Sense.
Like
to me, that's just like. You're dropping one materialistic thing.
Well, that's the point. Is you could say I'm giving up whatever you cherish the most. Some people would say chocolate. Most people do food, which is interesting. But I doubt anyone's like I'm giving up using my cell phone Like, no one's probably going to do that. But, and then, of course, they do that for however long. It's like 6 weeks or a month or however long. And then on Easter, of course, that's kind of like Eid is Easter, because you break the fast in that way, or you break the whatever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Mardi Gras is before the fasting. And what you're supposed to do for, like, the Mardi Gras is whatever you're giving up, you use constantly, basically abuse the crap out of it to where you're good. Where you get tired of it.
I mean, that way, isn't that like...
So, you basically, if you're giving up alcohol, you would get drunk. Like,
get
terribly
mad, trashed, and
terribly drunk.
Because you're never gonna drink again. You're gonna be dead by the morning.
More than likely, if you get through that, then you'll have to wait till Easter. But probably you'll be dead. So
Wait, what is Mardi Gras, anyways? Isn't that purely Louisiana?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's purely Louisiana. I mean,
It's
Mardi
like
Gras.
a French thing.
Well, Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday.
Oh.
Like gras is like gross, which is fat, and then Mardi is like Tuesday. Anyways,
Alright.
That's a thing. I know that from French. Basically, that's how they deal with it. That's their coping, I guess. Is what they do is if they give up alcohol, they drink like crazy. If they give up smoking, they smoke like a chain smoker, literally like the entire day.
Oh, that's depressing. Anyways,
So that's their way of doing it. Is it right? Is it wrong? Meh, whatever. I don't really care. Just do you, I guess. I don't participate in that. So.
Alright, so I guess that's the end of the video, podcast, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
None of the above. Like, comment,
share,
subscribe.
Whatever you SoundCloud it. If we're still doing that.
If
If we're still doing that, then whatever stuff you can do on SoundCloud, do that too.
I mean, yeah. So, deuces.
Deuces.
हर रगे हर जाई हूँ वो जुग जुग जीवे मेरा मुर्शिद सोना अते जिसे बूटी